Can I get on my thing here?
I hope so. I can't see anything.
Here. There it is. Hello?
Not like
It's a little far behind.
oh, there's one person.
That's me.
Oh, that's you. Okay. Two people.
Mhm.
You know what? We probably ought to drop this leaf to get a little closer. It's hitting my knee, but
Somebody already left.
they already left. They jumped on and they left.
That's so sad.
Oh, I got so bad. I guess this wasn't the contentment they were looking for. Give me a kiss. Oh, there's somebody.
It's really kind of far behind.
What is?
When you say it, when it comes up on that.
Right.
Now we have 3.
3.
But one of them is me.
Yeah. Well, that's good. You can check out the.
I just made a little comment on there. Let's see how long it takes.
We've got the shadow here. We've got to get this. This needs to come back here between us or something. There we go.
No, that's too close. I might hit it and knock it over.
Contentment says hello, everyone.
That took a little bit to come.
Hi, everybody. Those who are checking in with us. Hello, hello. Can you hear us? You can hear?
I can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me through there?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, good.
Except there's a delay.
Happy Easter.
Cheers.
So.
It's turned out a little bit cold here.
A little cool. We've got the propane heater on behind the computer here and trying to warm things up. It's been a mostly pretty day, but now it looks like some kind of fog or snow or rain or something is coming in. And I can't tell. It just looks like a fog or something covering the ground. So, don't know. It says three people, and there's 2 people on besides you.
Yes.
So in case you don't know what to say, you're checking us out for the first time or whatever, we are a 50-something couple who is sick of the city and is transitioning to an off-grid home in the Intermountain West. We are broadcasting or streaming from a building that we call the Shouse, which is our 384 square foot shed, combination shed and superintendent shack and sort of camp shed that we built on our land, which we call Contentment. And so we are we've been working on this for a couple of years. Oh, look at that, Dakota family. Hi there. How are you? So we've been working on this for a couple of years. And we're out here again. We came out here early this time to escape the the virus, and so we're doing this by battery light and by candle light. Since we have electricity wired into the house,
is there a wood stove?
Yeah. No. Unfortunately, there was a wood stove, but We have a propane heater
I wrote
tying
some.
us over right now. And but no, there's no wood stove. Unfortunately, it was stolen. So yeah. But hey, welcome. I mean, we've been longtime subscribers to each other, but have never really chatted. So, how are things in your world? And just continuing along, we're busy about getting ready to build
No,
a
not
natural home.
art.
Huh? You seem irked. Oh no, we're not irked at that question at all. Yeah, no, it's just sad to think about because we never even got to use the stove one time before it was stolen, and no, it's just uh, not irked at the question, but it's sort of a source. So we're still kind of sad over it. So, and that's not all they got. They got a whole bunch of stuff. So I can't read. I'm saying. Your wife seemed irked at that question. Were you irked, Robert?
No, I'm not irked.
By the way, I go by E-Chip, and this is Robert. So, so tell us, how are things in your world today on Easter? Happy Easter, by the way. But we've got 11 acres out here now, hoping to expand it to 35 here pretty soon. And we just dug a well and are getting ready to send our well pump down. We are getting ready to install a septic tank, and then, of course, once all that development is done, we will be ready to build an off-grid, fully sustainable earthen home, and be adobe and straw bale. Maybe we're still trying to decide, maybe with a living roof or an earthen roof. So passive solar and active solar, and just trying to eliminate all of those utility bills. I can't read it there. Doing good, living the dream, guys. Living your dream. Sometimes you stumble, but oh yeah. Well, hopefully you always fall forward. That's right, and I think that's the key right there. Is um, you make a positive out of it, and you keep going, and you don't quit, because it's too easy to do. It's too easy to quit. So let me close this thing so I can see comments more easily. Okay. What are your long-term goals on utilizing land? Oh, that's a good question.
That is.
Say it, Robert. She doesn't know.
No. Well, so we want to get a more permanent structure. We want to build not a barn,
a shop.
A shop. I'm just listening to the.
Oh, you're listening to
yeah,
things.
I can hear it. It's a little bit of a delay.
So it's throwing you off.
We want to build a shop. Oh. To
get things
and then
secure.
Plant a garden and have some chickens and other livestock.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of the things I'm also looking at is a passive solar greenhouse, and I know it's like, well, all greenhouses are passive solar, but this one is an earth and what do you call it, in a banked earth greenhouse. So the back of it is actually built into the earth to help maintain temperature and to create a thermal mass. And then the front half of it is curved so that it faces the sun. And that's where the solar gain comes from. And so let me see. Got idea for you. Is there a way to get things more secure? Well, we certainly hope so. We installed a gate here, and they bypassed the gate and cut the barbed wire fence and came in and just broke down the door here and ripped us off. But really, in this part of the country, the way to keep things secure is to be here. And that was really the problem. We weren't here to provide to provide that restraint. Um, and so, they had plenty of time to come in. They stole a 400-pound wood stove. They stole 400 square feet of tongue and groove aspen that we had planned to install on the ceiling here in the house. They got a whole bunch of stuff. But really, the key is being here, and we are now. So, going forward, I expect less trouble. But what's your idea? Would love to hear it. Produce enough energy from the panels. Sell electricity. Oh, sell electricity back. Hey, Farmall Fanatic. Hi. Sell electricity back to the grid. Well, that would be nice, except there is no grid out here.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Tell them. How far are we from the grid?
Well, actually, we're really not technically that far from the grid. We have some
About 3 miles.
Well, not really that far, because right down there at the circles there are some electric. There's electric down at some of the crop circles, which really isn't terribly far. But the area we're in is undeveloped, and there are no utilities, nothing at all.
Yeah, our goal is to remain totally off grid. We don't want to sell anything back to the grid. We don't want anything to do with the grid, frankly. So,
an idea, some kind of security cams that is set to an alarm. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. We actually thought about different things like that, trail cameras, different things. And at this time, we still don't have anything going with security cameras, but we're still looking into that.
Yeah, but again, the real deterrent is being here, which we haven't been. But yes, we're definitely looking into all that. Farmall Fanatic, so glad that you checked in. How are you, friend? I've got interesting news for you. We just picked up another backhoe with another flathead 6-cylinder engine to use as a parts machine for Dyna. But you know what? The thing's in better shape than Dyna. So I think what we're going to do is we are going to use Dyna as our parts backhoe and use this one as our main backhoe now. But here's the cool thing, and you'll appreciate this. Yeah, his channel is blowing up. I know it's blowing up. It blows up every time. Everything blows up every time I open one of your videos. It opens with missiles blowing everything up.
Which is really cool, by the way.
Yeah, I love it. But Farmall, no, check this out. Here's where it gets even better. This backhoe came with a brand new Continental F245 6-cylinder engine that was old Army surplus that had been sitting in a warehouse for who knows how long, but it's a brand new engine. So I now have 3 engines, 2 shuttle drives, and 2 gearboxes, and of course, 2 whole backhoes. So that's kind of cool. So I'm so happy about that. I can't wait. I think I'm just going to take that new engine, drop some new seals and new gaskets, new oil pan gasket on it, throw all the stuff from the old engine onto it, and just throw it in there and get that thing going because we can use it. So it was a great, and yeah, here's the good thing about it. We got it for, of course, since it's an old backhoe, we got it for salvage cost, and we got that new long block for $500, and that's a rare engine. So yeah, I'm happy about that. So how are things with you, Farmall? Any more trespassers?
It's warm in here.
By the way, happy Easter.
Not yet.
Not yet. What?
Did you see?
Oh, not yet. Yeah, pretty soon. Yeah. See, the difference between you and us, Farmall, is that you, I mean, people are trespassing on your established land, but to these people out here, we're trespassing
on
on
their
their established
on their
land.
public land.
Yeah, it's never been public, but they seem to think it is, or they have always treated it like it is. A lot of hunters. So, Dakota.
Oh gosh, sorry to hear that, Dakota and family.
Yeah.
My mom was a teacher for a long time, and so she kind of understands the situation that people are going through right now. And that's been a big concern for lots of parents with having to do the distance learning and things.
Yeah. So how's he getting along? What's he doing? What kinds of things how's he occupying his time?
Ooh, that's really warm.
Sorry for the light in here. It's getting dark and so, look at this. I guess that's the sound. Yeah.
Hello, hello.
We got 4. Who else we got?
Well, I'm 1.
Yeah.
It's really delayed. It's funny to watch it.
Is it?
He's goofing off. We do some speech, occupation, physical.
That's good. That's good. So what did we do today, Robert? Tell them what we did.
We set the pole for the solar panels and stuff for the well. We made some concrete in our concrete mixer.
Our solar powered concrete mixer.
Our solar powered concrete mixer. Got that set up, and then we had some Easter dinner, and it's kind of been a little bit of a slow day here.
Robert fixed an awesome Easter dinner. We had ham with pineapple and clove and mashed potatoes and peas. And
I used the sun oven, which was okay. It was kind of cloudy here, which is somewhat unusual, but it did work. Of course, the ham was already pre-cooked. It just had to be heated up. But the sun oven did a great job. Mm-hmm. And then
we discovered that even on a cloudy day, the sun oven can still bake a little bit.
Yeah,
it got up to about 150 degrees with overcast skies. So kids
scares me how many kids. Oh, I know.
Are getting abused.
That's one of the sad things about it too. I worked with an organization that dealt with domestic violence, and they've talked about how much more of an occurrence that's been happening with the kid. Well, with the partners, and then the kids being affected by that too.
So what? I guess we've never known what state you were in or what part of the country you're in, and how things are going there with the virus. I mean, if you want to talk about it at all. So, and by the way, Farmall, how are things there with you? You're in far northwest Pennsylvania, I think. Wanted to see you when we were out there last August and missed you. We were right near you. We were visiting Nona Grace, who is in she's far western New York. I think she's west of Buffalo. But didn't get to.
Click off of it.
Oh, that sounds. Yeah. Sapper Gardner just loved us. So, anyway, I guess there's quite a delay here in comments.
There really is. It's kind of, well, this battery went dead, so now I can't hear anything.
Oh.
That's why I took it out.
So anyway, I don't know. The temperature here is probably 20 degrees. No,
it's not 20 degrees
it
yet.
will be tonight.
Yeah. So If you're not familiar with where we are, in the wintertime, the temperatures here are bitterly cold. Averages, hey, homesteading the hard way.
Hey, Chris and Darlene, how are you?
So in the wintertime, temperatures can get to like minus 20 degrees. So now as we're coming into the springtime, the last few days since we've been here have been pretty nice. Now for the next like 3 or 4 days, the overnight lows are getting down into 18 degrees, 20 degrees, and things like that.
When we say pretty nice, we mean that the high is no higher than
like
70.
60, well, yeah.
Between 50 and 53 and 70 or something like that. And
About
the lows, go ahead.
About 60 is about the average.
Yeah. And the lows are around, 30 at night, something like that. But it's getting a little cooler right now.
A little bit of a cold
So
snap.
we have to take a risk and go into town for propane.
Well, we didn't want to have to use that kind of stuff, but
the wood stove's gone.
Well, fortunately, too, we have a 10-degree sleeping bag, which has worked pretty nicely and kept us decently warm.
Okay, so Dakota family in Missouri is 4,139, 32 cases in our county. First report of a virus in our county was 2 weeks ago. Well, I guess I could say that's good, compared to other people. We got a freeze warning in mid-Missouri. When you say mid-Missouri, I'm thinking, somewhere around, Nevada would be like west central Missouri. Jefferson City would be northeast central. Sedalia would be northwest central. I'm trying to think of the area. We already had a day or two in the
Oh
yeah,
my gosh.
I know, Chris.
Yeah,
I know.
Kidding. Well, back home, we planted a garden before we came out here. And of course, the Easter freeze, the Easter snap is kind of hitting there. But I don't know. It's supposed to get pretty cold. I don't know if it's, our plants are really, really new in the ground. Nothing has come up that much. So hopefully the colder plants that we planted will be okay. But 90 degrees, oh my gosh, that's like,
just north of Sedalia, north side of Ice. Okay, yeah, I've done some work in Sedalia years ago for a short time. I stayed there for a couple of months and did some work. I work in insurance. And so I'm kind of familiar with Sedalia. As I recall, that's where Scott Joplin, the famous ragtime pianist, that's where he's from, I think, or where he got his start. But let me see. North of Sedalia. Sedalia's a nice little town. So let me see. Oh, Chris, I don't know if I got a chance to. Yeah, I think I told you. We've got that other backhoe, and it's got the brand new. It's got, besides the regular engine that's in it, it's got a brand new F245. So can't wait to. Yeah, he's from there. Yeah, he is from there. Okay, that's what I thought.
I don't even know if that's Scott Joplin.
No, that was. I'm trying to think of his. He'd done a couple famous tunes. I can't remember them, but he's somebody my dad would love. My dad played jazz piano, and so he was big into boogie woogie and stuff like that. He would have known Scott Joplin's tunes. Let's see. He's actually has grown. It actually has grown lots of department stores. Sounds great, man. Chris, looking at your garden, we saw your video the other day on what is it? The truth, the real truth, or something like that. Saw your garden coming up. Must be nice. I mean, our garden at the duplex in the central U.S., Oklahoma, is just starting to come up. But I've got two. Well, I got one who's still a teenager, late teenager, and
young adults.
Young adults, and I'm trying all I can to get them to thin out the stuff that's coming up in the garden, but I don't know if they're going to do it. So,
well, here we don't have any cold frames or anything built yet, so of course nights have been pretty cold, 30s, and like we just said, it's going to be really cold the next 2 or 3 nights. So we need to get some cold frames or some kind of
Mountain Crest Farm.
Hey.
Hey, Bob, how are you?
We need to get some kind of so, what would you call it? Not a cold frame, some kind of
Cold frame. But
oh my goodness, I'm losing my mind. Greenhouse type thing going,
yeah.
so we can get some plants in the ground.
I think cold frame would be the quickest and easiest way to go.
Well, it's funny homesteading the hard way, Chris. Potatoes are just now going in the ground here.
Yeah, potatoes are just now being planted here.
All of the crop circles around here, they've just now been plowing and planting and things like that. So,
but the soil here is perfect for potatoes and root vegetables of all kinds because it's sort of a loose sand, and so it's perfect. The sand shifts just perfectly, so all these things can, like these tubers and stuff, can grow in it without being stunted. It's just beautiful soil for that. So you need to title a stream "Homesteading in My Garden Shed." LOL. This is so cool. Well, yeah, I guess it does sort of look like a garden shed. We didn't mean for it to look like that. See, I'm great. How could I be otherwise? He is risen. That's right. He is risen indeed. Happy Easter, everybody.
Supposed to plant them here before Valentine's.
Yeah.
Well, they'd be dead here.
We got 90-degree days. Yeah, I mean, you could even break the soil before Valentine's Day here. It's frozen. So, let's see. But no, I mean, today we were moving cement, and from the cement mixer over to where we're setting a pole, and the soil is so loose. It's such loose sand that it just shifts. It's really hard to push a wheelbarrow across that stuff. Yeah, that can be otherwise. He is risen. Bob, how are you? How are you, man? It's been a while since we've had any contact with you, and how are things going with you? I mean, I imagine, right now, because of all the COVID stuff going on, you can't get to doctors and things like that. I mean, tell us, give us an update if you don't mind.
Lord, hey.
Elf Lord Journey, hey, how are you? Someday we're going to meet Elf Lords, and we're going to find out what this guy looks like.
It's top secret.
Yeah, he must have worked for the CIA, the rental car CIA agency. But let's see. I don't know if all of you know each other, but Bob, Mountain Crest Farm, Elf Lord's Journeys, doing okay. Surgery has been delayed. It was supposed to be tomorrow.
I know my sister. My sister is a surgical nurse, and she's kind of well, I don't know if she's totally furloughed or laid off right now. She's going in and doing some other work. My daughter and her roommate are all in the medical fields, but yeah, my sister said that her hospital and their surgical suites have just pretty much stopped all of it.
Yeah, and but Bob, Bob's got to have that surgery.
Yeah, I know.
Bob, we're praying for it. We're praying that things open up really quickly for you. Elf Lords, looks like the 1800s there. It does.
Yeah, well.
And that's because, if I could point the camera up, I would show you where we have electrical installed. And in fact, Buzz is just right outside the door and could power this shed. But, when the thieves broke in and stole everything, they stole all the electrical stuff we had sitting here ready to install. So we have to wait. And of course, with the virus, it's difficult to get into town and get stuff,
We tried to stay as far away from that part of the world as we can. And,
the other thing is that we're a little bit nervous because, our license plates still show Central U.S. And they're making announcements out of here that say, hey, if you
Little House on the Prairie. No, that was way better than this place.
Yeah, that was better than this place. If you go into town, they're going to roust you because they don't want people coming and occupying their second homes and things like that. So let me see. Homesteading a hard way, not all good. Broccoli, cauliflower, etc. Sometimes just bolts and doesn't make. Yeah, well, I've had that too. I can't even in the Central U.S. at the duplex. I can get broccoli and cauliflower plants to grow, but they never form a head. They never do anything.
The only time I planted some broccoli, it was really, really doing very well, and then deer ate it one night, and then it never
You know what I want to grow here at Contentment? The real challenges are tomatoes and corn. It's like it's almost impossible to get them to grow. Let's see, there's a little house on the. Let me see.
I wish I could only play the fiddle.
What happens will be exactly what is supposed to happen. It is well done. That's right. That's right, Bob. Hang in there. Let me see. And my brother is in a nursing home. Medicaid, Medicare has mandated the nurse to take care of the same patients to help with the mental health. I'm studying the hard way. I have to have a letter from the agriculture department to drive. Yeah, I hear that. I have a great harvest every 2 weeks at the farm stand. Well, that must be nice. Must be nice. Well, and that's one of the things I hope we can do someday is have a farm stand. So we could be the farm stand. But hey, homesteading the hard way, you know, like I said, potatoes. I know you're growing potatoes.
Staples, corn and tomatoes.
Yeah. You know, I'm just saying, you know, potatoes grow amazingly out here.
Any cooler weather.
And root vegetables, just about of all kinds, grow out really well here. Lettuce, any of the cool brassicas, things like that, I understand grow here really well. Carrots, you get real long, pretty carrots because the soil's so soft and shifty. So, you know, maybe we can work out a deal, you know, like tomatoes for carrots or something like that. And be happy to send you some. Both of those.
Yeah, Chris, that we went looking for tomatoes last year, and even at the farmer's market, it was like August before really any vegetables were sold at the farmer's market, and no one ever had tomatoes. The only place I ever found tomatoes were at the Amish stores where they have greenhouses and things where they can grow them in the greenhouses.
Yeah, that's the thing. The farmer's market doesn't start selling any. The farmer's market starts up in like May, but doesn't sell any produce at all until August. It just sells everything else like honey and preserves and, you know, stuff like that. Will you build a greenhouse? Yes. The plan is I want to build a subterranean, actually an earth bermed greenhouse. We have a hillside here that I'd like to cut into and then build a greenhouse into that so that the earth can serve as a thermal mass. And then it'll, of course, our hill faces south, which is perfect. So yeah, that plan. Let me see. Love to visit a homestead with Dakota that has farm animals to be my luck. Play with the
the manure.
Yeah.
Not good.
Well, let's see. He's in Missouri.
But I keep the carrots.
Yeah. Let's see. Old Camp Ranch and
Mud Hut. Hi.
Hi, Mud Hut. Let me see. Well, this is going to be hard to keep up with, and it's hard to see. Let's see. Rick at Old Camp Ranch and Susie and Bill at Out West. Both are successful growing what you want in soil, dirt like y'all. Well, here's the thing. Rick at Old Camp and Susie and Bill are about 2,000 at least. Well, I know Rick is at least 2,000 feet in elevation lower than we are. And Susie and Bill are probably 4,000 or 5,000 less feet in elevation than we are. So they do have warmer temperatures. And I know Rick he has a greenhouse that's got a thermal bank in it. So, I mean, I know he's had some good success and it's extended his growing season. But I don't know. We'll just see. We'll just have to see. Is there a way? I think right now what we want to do, because it's simple and easy and because we really want to get a good start, a simple start here for the time we have is to build a few cold frames, because we can do those quickly and get them planted and see what comes.
And Dakota and family said something about a windmill. This place has huge amounts of wind, and we've talked a lot about trying to harness the wind here because in the mornings it's really, really calm. Then about 2 o'clock, in the afternoon it picks up and it blows until sometimes it goes past sunset.
Goes into the night.
Sometimes after, sunset. And, but yeah, this is a great place for wind and solar power. So yeah.
Yeah. I realized there warmer was talking about the soil.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, one thing's for sure, this is mostly sand. It's going to take some development. That's for sure. I was just thinking about the garden at the duplex. I started a Back to Eden garden at the duplex almost 4 years ago. And all I did was, no grass would grow back there because it's mostly trees shading the thing. So I cut back the trees, and then I just laid 10 inches of wood chips all over the entire backyard and planted immediately into it, and had a pretty good garden that year. But now, 4 years later, that is all decomposed. You cannot make out any wood chips in there at all anymore. It's just real rich black soil, and it's beautiful soil. And so it's going to take some time for us to do that here. But let me see. How about, do you have spring water underground? Well, yes. And in fact, if you stay tuned to us, Dakota, we have some videos coming up. The pole that we cemented in today is for the solar panels and solar rack system that will control our well. We drilled a well last July here at Contentment. Goes down about 120 feet. We're right near a river. In fact, our land borders a river. And so we are about 50 feet above the level of that river. And so when they were drilling, they hit water at 50 feet, about the same level as the river. And then they hit 3 layers of sands, water-bearing sands. So our well goes down about 120 feet, and we're just getting ready to put in the well pump and everything to be able to use that. So we have an abundance of water. Just a couple of miles up the road is a natural spring. Right now, until we get the well pump in, we collect our water from an artesian well a few miles away. The water just literally pours right out of the ground. We just fill our buckets from it. And it's beautifully sweet water. It's amazing. It's soft, too.
And so Mud Hut Homestead said, are you guys still planning on adobe bricks?
Yes. We are. Yes, we are. The plan is to build a totally sustainable home. So that would be adobe and straw bale, both. And some people are saying, well, why not just one or the other? And the reason is because straw bale provides the insulation that we need in this climate. Adobe provides the strength, and that's going to make a very thick wall, but it's only going to be on 3 sides. The south side will be the passive solar side, which may only have adobe brick. And so, we just like the idea of having a secure home, nice thick walls that you can't drive a vehicle through, that kind of thing.
And so Dakota and family asked if we're going to catch rainwater or use snow for a water source.
Tell them how much snow and rain we get.
The average precipitation per year is about 7 inches. So, of course, we are going to run some, I think, eventually spouts down for water catchment, but basically we're not going to get a lot of water from that source.
Yeah. The source of water in this valley is seeps and springs, and they are all over the place. And like I said, we border a river. The river's just a few hundred yards that way. So groundwater is abundant. That's not our issue. It would be nice to take advantage of a seep or a spring, but there are none directly on our property. We just have the river, and we can't take from the river because of water use compacts between the various states out here in the West.
And so Elf Lord asked if cops have any leads on your theft. Out here,
no way.
They
probably have a dozen ideas.
Yes. And it's kind of a higher crime area, and a large portion of the county, the police did say they're experiencing kind of a lot of theft right now with
Go ahead.
Seasonal homes that are not open and things like that.
It's like Deep Park Farmstead or Deer Park Farmstead, Dakota. recommend. We'll check them out. Yeah, dear. So free.
Mud's,
Please ask questions. We don't mind
Yeah.
answering them. Let me
I think
see.
you should hold on the well pump. I had friends who had their pump stolen.
Oh,
But,
well, we're here now. So we feel safe going ahead and installing the well pump. We didn't feel safe doing it last August when we had it because we knew we were leaving.
Imaginator Homes, Imaginator Woods. And, okay.
I think you should hold on the well pump. Are you going to use
Solar
battery to power the well pump?
Yes. Well, that go ahead.
Well, yes.
But
Unfortunately, the 310 watt solar panels that we had purchased, as well as the rack system for them, were stolen. So it's going to be a little while before we can recover that loss. But the nice thing is, and if you've been following our channel, we built a mobile solar generator that's sitting right outside this door over here. And it has the ability to power our well until we can get the solar panels replaced. Let me see. Solar power. Let me see.
Oh, here, click on that.
I can't. Oh. Let me see. The sound in Earth and Homes is without a doubt, is very calming. Yes, without a doubt, they are very quiet homes. And in fact, this house is pretty quiet too. It's well insulated and it's pretty tight, so it's hard to hear things outside. Imaginator Woods, a homesteading channel, and I don't know, we haven't, but we will.
Just a shrug and a well check into it.
That's what I was thinking. Just a shrug and a well.
I don't.
Just a shrug and a well check into it.
Yeah, you can probably. We actually, Chris, we've been trying to look for them on Craigslist and every place else, but the police said that people around here usually just sell them to each other, and mostly they sell them to buy drugs.
Well, mostly what was taken was building supplies and materials. The aspen for the ceiling, the wood stove, which would be right there, the pressure tank for the sink behind, the well pressure tank for the sink behind us, all the plumbing supplies that we were going to use to plumb this place, all the finished electrical stuff that we were going to use to finish out the electricity here, just building materials. There wasn't anything else in here, except for just like dishes and pots and pans.
Yeah, I mean, it was really kind of strange, the things they took. Basically, I guess they were just grabbing anything they could carry out. But, like I said, these lamps, we had these 2 oil lamps here. They left the 2 oil lamps, but took the bottle of lamp oil. So it's just kind of odd. You can borrow it. How about harvesting Dakota and family, wild animals? Well, yes.
That would be nice.
Unfortunately.
Tell them about our wild animals.
Well, around here we have elk like crazy, mule deer, any number of birds, rabbits, really an abundance of wild animals here.
There is. And good game.
We have to, of course, be able to have a state hunting license and things. So when we get that set up, yes, definitely we will be using that. And we are really located in a very prime elk hunting spot, and we have kind of made the hunters a little angry with the location we're in, because according to the
according to the local lore,
and the lore, and the game warden said around this area, they've seen like 500 elk at a time.
Yeah,
this
is home to I think they say the second largest elk herd in North America, and we see them all the time, just within a couple of 100 yards of the house here. In fact, we see their tracks right outside the door here. We've seen them before.
But fur-wise,
there's a beaver in the river.
We don't really have a lot of fur-bearing animals. Coyotes, which I don't know if you could sell those.
There are muskrat.
But how many
we've seen muskrat and we've seen beaver.
Yeah.
But not many. So
in the part of the state we're in, we haven't seen a lot of like mountain lions and things like that.
We know they're here, but we haven't seen them. I mean, I had the opportunity to harvest a deer the other night. I went back to the duplex real quick to grab Buzz and a few other things early last week. And as I was coming back here in the middle of the night, about 2-3 o'clock in the morning, some semi truck or something had hit a mule deer, and it was just so alongside the road suffering. It was alive. I had to put it out of its misery. But you know, I had the opportunity to harvest it, but I didn't have time, and I didn't know anybody to call who could come get it. So unfortunately, it went to waste. But let me see. Yeah, I hate a thief too.
So are you there permanently so the pump won't disappear? Nope. Should not disappear.
Should not disappear. We're here permanently.
Someone will be here going forward.
That's right. I hate it. Let me see. So a neighbor is building a house too. I don't understand that question. So I've heard they're delicious. Which ones? Beaver. Let me see. How many acres do y'all have? Okay. Well, Mountain Crest, we have 11 acres now, but we have an option on several other acres that are contiguous to this property. Some of them are owned by the county.
Yeah, a good portion of the lots around here are county owned.
Mm-hmm. And some of them are owned by other owners whom we've been in contact with, and we've just said, hey, you know, please give us first right of refusal, first option on them, if you would. And so, I mean, our goal is to get to 35 acres, and that's a key number because having 35 acres will allow us to expand to agricultural and stock use.
Water use.
Yeah. So far as the well is concerned. Let me see. Muskrat was bringing
yeah, okay.
250.
They took your Elf Lord. Honestly, there are a few people around here who we do kind of suspect that could be culprits.
Who took our stuff?
So a neighbor is building a house too. They took your stuff. Well,
yes.
Yeah, I see that you say you're teasing,
because of the building materials they took. Yes,
yeah,
obviously.
Well, yeah, because around here there's a place a few miles from here who, when we were here last, weren't here and are now here, and they've done a considerable amount of improvements on their place.
He's teasing, but we're not.
No.
We fully expect. You know, here's the thing. You know, Robert and I were talking. We ought to join the local charity. There's a local charity here that helps out, you know, some of the more desperate folks that live in the valley, you know, folks who suffer from things like, you know, maybe heroin use or something like that. And we were thinking, you know, we probably ought to join them so that we could go to their homes and help them out and find our stuff. But,
well, I know that's probably kind of a hard thing
cruel,
to say, but well, I mean, here really
good elk population right there around you. Rich guys from the east will pay bucks to come to your hunting lodge until the dollar collapses. Yeah, well, they better hurry because I believe the dollar is going to collapse like next week. But
muskrat was $2.50, beaver $20.
Gossip travels fast in small towns. Well, yeah, unfortunately, we're not privy to it.
Yeah.
So,
if you have good on it, yeah.
So, how are you all? Let's talk to us about how you guys are doing. We're answering a lot of questions. How are you guys
really
doing?
kind of warm in here now.
It feels good. I'll turn the heater off.
It's really dark in here with the no moon. Well, we did have a person kind of close to us who watches the shows for us. And so kind of where we are, we're in this area where we're kind of in an area where there are a lot of, I don't know how to say this, people who are
desperate folks?
Desperate, very desperate people.
I don't know about that.
And even the people who come out here and help us are like, you're in the really bad part of the valley. And so this part of the valley is kind of where more of the crime is and things.
I don't know about that. I mean, we were told by the sheriff that there's another part of the valley, about 35 miles to the southeast of us. A lot of second homes.
Crackheads.
Yeah,
okay,
crackheads and meth.
Yeah. Because your comment, Chris, came up as to bad, so I'll let it show.
But most of the break-ins and crime happen down there, and so, you know, we suspect that what's happened here. this area where we're at has a name that the locals have given it, and they call it Campo Chico. Chico refers to the Chico brush that grows in this area, and Campo just refers to like a campsite, and it's basically a seasonal rendezvous for hunters who hunt in the wildlife refuge next to us. So basically what we've done is we've moved on to their old rendezvous grounds where they would come every year and set up their trailers and campers and things like that, and scope out the elk, the game, and this kind of stuff. And they're mad. I mean, they're not happy with us. They've driven up on our land while we're out on our land and said, "What are you doing here?" That kind of thing. And it's like, sorry guys, I mean, this has always been private land, always. I know you treated it like it was public land, but it's always been private land, and you can't come across here anymore. So they're not happy with us, and it's going to take some time to, number one, get them used to the fact that they can't use this place anymore, and number two, sort of win them, and make friends with them. So it's just the challenge.
So Chris said y'all are from outside. Yes,
we're outsiders.
That's true.
Yeah.
And every day is Groundhog's Day. Yes, I eat, sleep, paint.
Yep.
Totally get that one. And Mud Hut Homestead, I'm going to build a brick making machine using 2 sets of lift wheels. Manufacturer says they lift about 8 to 10 inches, which would be enough to roll it away.
What is this?
A Foder chicken tractor kit. I guess kind of
I'm
like
going
the thing
to try
that,
to build a brick making machine using 2 sets of lift wheels. Manufacturer says they'll lift about 8 to 10 inches, which would be enough to roll it away.
Rock and see, hey!
Called Foder chicken tractor kit.
We'll have to look that up.
Sandra, by the way, everybody say hi to Sandra at Mud Hut Homestead. Sandra, in case you don't know, her plan is to build a totally sustainable off-grid home in Arizona on her land. So good to talk to you. Glad you're here. Our idea for making Adobe brick was that we were going to build some kind of gantry. The way I think is that whenever I build something, I always think of a future use for it when that use is over with. So I was thinking of building a structure, a gantry, that I could also convert into an actual lifting gantry when I build the shop, and to lift things up into a loft or something like that. Anyway, my idea was to have a hoist or something like that would lower a wood brick making form, made of 2x4s or something like that, like a grid pattern, pour the mud into it, make the brick, and then crank it out, with the hoist, lift it, roll it several feet forward, and drop it again, and make more brick. And just I'm hoping that with that pattern I could make about 125 Adobe brick a day. That would be nice. So, but I'm getting old. I'm feeling old. Today I shoveled 8 bags of concrete.
I watched mostly
and hauled it enough. It's like, golly, that used to be nothing for me. But the older you get, I got to learn to pace myself.
Mountain Crest said, I'm pessimistic about the economy, but not quite as pessimistic as you.
Oh, yeah. I'll tell you guys, I have to warn you, and I hope that no one is offended by this, because we sort of tried to make it fun, but there's a video scheduled to come out tomorrow talking about the economy, and it's actually a video that we made
in last
October, and it's still so
current,
yeah. I just really feel like we were headed the same direction as Argentina and Zimbabwe. And
you're a youngin'.
I'm a youngin'. Boy, I wish I were a youngin'. Let me see. I am so in agreement about the national debt. The piper has to be paid sometime. Yeah, unfortunately, I think it's not going to be paid again this time.
MC asked how many acres? About 11.
About 11, but hoping to expand to 35 here pretty quick. So
well, and when we make videos, I always end up editing myself out of them because I always say a lot more than I want to. And I don't really want to make a bunch of people mad because, right now everybody's so polarized and things. But
What are these dollars y'all keep talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
dollars that nobody has.
Fiat money.
Yeah. So,
But I usually, he's kind of the more,
what are those?
uh,
I'm just really concerned. Hey, check it out. The whole reason I wanted contentment in the first place is because I saw this coming. And I don't want to. I'm not, and that's not to brag. It's just like I could see this nonsense coming, and I wanted a place that I could retreat to in case of a severe economic downturn where I could be self-sufficient or more self-sufficient and stuff like that and be able to take care of myself.
well, you know what's kind of interesting about this? When I was teaching 10th graders, we were talking about debt. And of course, 15, 16-year-olds don't quite understand at the level that the national debt goes on. And so I kept trying to say, you can't spend money you don't have. And one girl said, well, why don't we just cancel all debt? And I thought, well, what happens then? But now, as things progress and different economists come up with different ideas, there is talk of canceling student loan debt, different kinds of debt, and things like that. And so who knows? We're on the barter. Yeah, I'd love to barter. I can't find anyone to barter with.
It would be nice to find someone to barter with. So Chris at Chris at Homesteading the Hard Way will trade you tomatoes for carrots.
He said he's keeping his carrots.
Oh, so he's grown his own. By the way, I'm not much of a wine drinker, but every once in a while I'll drink wine. This is called Chateau Saint Michel. No, you can't see it. Chateau Saint Michel. Yeah, the wines are grown in Washington State, and it's a pretty good wine because of the water, I think. So.
Yeah, most grown-ups don't understand. Yeah, China would never allow us to cancel a debt, and then we've been debt-free for years. That's what I've tried to encourage my kids in their 20s, and my oldest daughter, fortunately, has the ability to pay off her debts. My middle daughter, she's a little bit slow on the understanding on acquiring debt, but yeah, if you can't afford it, then you can't afford it.
Homesteading the Hard Way, I've gotten rid of that in my backyard.
Oh, yeah.
Did Mudhead have a groundhog in her backyard? Wow. I remember living in Illinois many years ago when I was in graduate school. We had a couple of groundhogs that occupied this pile of dirt in the back. They never bothered us or anything. They're kind of funny to look at.
Well, I remember one time being up in the Northeast, and we were in the big truck, and this guy was telling us that his wife was calling for the cat to come in because the cat went outside, and they brought the cat in every night, and they were like, hey, come on in. And groundhog, it was a groundhog. She was trying to call into the house because she thought it was the cat.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, Homestead and Heart, he'll send us all tomatoes. Check that out.
Oh, I don't like the carrots. Okay, I thought you said you had carrots.
He doesn't like carrots. He said he keeps the carrots.
Oh, I get it. Okay.
External debt that the Chinese have cost us as much as we owe, taking everything the Chinese own here. So it would pay off the national debt. Well, I don't know. I'm really fearful of what's going to happen here in the next 6 months or year. Who knows? I mean, the Federal Reserve may have staved off disaster again, but you can't do that very many more times. I mean, pretty soon you're going to wind up like Argentina, where you just continue to default on the debt, and then you buy up again and default and buy up again. And I think I just heard that Argentina has defaulted again for the 17th time in its history. And, I mean, Argentina was once the 8th largest economy in the world. And so, I don't know. I hesitate to talk too much about the economy, but I'm really scared, which is why we have contentment, because it allows us to have a place that's debt-free, where we can grow our own food, we hope, and sustain ourselves. Grow a pig every year and some chickens for food, and have a garden and just sort of sustain ourselves. And then also hopefully have enough to support others. And I'll tell you, I'm really thankful that we're able to help other people right now. Like my two daughters are occupying the duplex, because it's just they're helping us out, but also we were able to leave them, pretty much at least a half a pantry full of food, where they wouldn't have to worry about anything. So it's just a really good feeling to have that security.
So Elf Lord said a video about the vaccine, mark of the beast. If you aren't vaccinated, you won't be able to go anywhere or buy anything. Yeah,
well,
ID 2020.
Well, when I think about that, I think about ID 2020 or Real ID or whatever they call it nowadays.
ID 2020.
Yeah.
Your little microchip somewhere in your little hand to where you can do anything.
Yeah. Zero interest is a short-term fix that creates so many other long-term. Well, I mean, think about this. Who in the world gets zero interest rates on money except for banks from the Federal Reserve right now? They get the money at zero interest rates, and then they loan it to us at 10%. So, I mean, my feeling on this is, no, I'm not taking out any debt. I'm not going to give you guys a satisfaction. You can keep and choke on that fake money. Because I'm not taking it out. Let me see.
You already do that.
Debt free in the bin since oh, good for you. Let me see. Homestead and Hard. We already do that. It's harder than you would think. What? Sorry. What's he referring to? Homestead and the Hard Way. Maybe he's talking to Mud Hut. But yeah, it's hard. I mean, it's not easy being debt free in this economy. But
well, I mean, it encourages people to go into debt.
Yeah. I mean, the world wants to make you think right now that the only way that you can survive is by being in debt. And it's very tempting. It's tough because you want all the things everybody else wants, and you don't.
Growing your own food, etc. Yeah.
Oh, growing your own food. Yeah.
All right. So, nice seeing you, Elf Lord. Thanks for joining us.
It's good to see you. Well, I mean, we've never seen him.
Well,
it'd be good to see you. Take care. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for stopping in.
But yeah, so thank you for the offer on the tomatoes, Chris and Darlene. What can we offer you in return? Question.
Potatoes.
Because we don't want to be your debtor.
But you already have potatoes.
We already have potatoes. He doesn't like carrots.
Yeah.
Beets may grow. Let me see. Lettuce.
You never will. Well, Chris, my grandfather on my mom's side always had a gigantic garden, and they were very, very, very poor people. And I think I probably said this before on here. They were like the Joad family. They went to California. I have an aunt who is buried in a pauper's grave out somewhere in Arizona because they were traveling from Oklahoma to California.
And she died.
And she was like 3 years old, and she died on the way. My mom was born in California. And so when we would go to my grandparents' house during the summer, they always had a gigantic garden full of everything. Okra, beans, turnips, you name it. They had chickens. They had a cow for a while. Then they got rid of it. But my family growing up, my mom and dad, city kind of folk, we had a garden when we were little, but it never really produced much. But, seeing how good my grandfather was at it, and it was a lot of work, my mom would tell us that if they hadn't had the garden that they always had, they planted a garden every year, they would have really pretty much starved to death, because that was a big portion of their food in the summer. And they were so poor that they would just like go out and get like a tomato because they were so hungry and just eat a tomato. But they didn't want to do that too much because then they would heat up their food supply and things. So, yeah.
Okay, so Mountain Chris asked, do you folks own the mineral? No, we don't own the mineral rights, but honestly, according to, local history, there are really mineral rights are.
Water is the thing. Water is gold.
Water rights are the gold here, not the mineral. There are no minerals to speak of. They tried drilling for oil I don't know, 50, 60 years ago, and the only thing they found was hot water, hot springs. But I mean, water is gold out here in the West. And so if you own the rights, in fact, we kind of feel privileged in a way because we are the only ones in this, if you call it a subdivision, that actually have can actually have a permit to drill a well. And we were fortunate in that we got that, and that we sort of, I don't know, we sort of blackmailed the.
No, don't say that.
we didn't really, but we found out that they had given the right to someone else to have a well, and when they found out that we found that out, they were willing to let us drill a well also.
And then they said, "You're it. Nobody else is
And
getting
then they
one."
said, "No one else in your unit is going to be able to drill a well." So we're the only ones around for probably several miles to be able to have a well. Let me see.
Groundhog before I plant another garden.
I have to get rid of that.
Oh.
Yeah. Climbing my tomato cages and chowing down on my tomatoes. He's huge.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So they like tomatoes.
We watched a video about fracking not long ago. Are you allowed to capture rainwater?
Well, yes, we are. This state will allow you. It's kind of silly because this state will allow you to keep 110 gallons of rainwater at any one time. That's 255-gallon drums. That's not even enough to water an 18-foot by 18-foot garden. And so it's really kind of silly, but it doesn't really matter because we get almost no precipitation in this valley. All the water is groundwater, and there's an abundance of groundwater.
Depending on who you talk to, but
yeah, there's an abundance of groundwater. We see it when we drive by. We drive down the road here a couple miles, and we see these seeps of water, just standing water everywhere, or artesian wells. Let me see. Yeah, we're allowed. Yeah, you're allowed to get 110 gallons of water, and that's it. But honestly, about 110 gallons of water is all you could collect out here in this valley.
Not very much.
Let me see. That was lucky.
Yeah, man, Rock and See, we were we
were fortunate
when we were out here. The guy, like we said last year, the guy pulls out an old little index card file, and he's looking through, and he was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, we can't give you a well permit there."
Right. And that was the thing, when we purchased the land, we checked it out very carefully to make sure we could get a well, and we found nothing that said we couldn't. And so when we went to apply for the well permit, this guy reached behind his desk and found this little plastic recipe card book, recipe card
holder,
file,
index card holder,
and popped it up and pulled out this yellowed index card that had typewritten words on it, from like the 80s or something. Oh yeah, your unit is not eligible for well permits. It's like, what? How come this isn't on any of the Water Resources Board stuff that we looked at? Any of that. And so we were and he was very apologetic, but he was very helpful also in helping us get the well. So we were glad for that. We made it through two wars,
fire and land, two
depressions,
droughts.
Yep. And you know what? We're going to make it too. There are a lot of people who come to this valley and fail because they think it's going to be easy. But, Chris, as anybody knows, it's not going to be easy. It's not easy to set up any kind of homestead.
And, too, something that we've kind of discovered is some of the people we work with, they're a little apprehensive about people coming out here to homestead. A lot of the people who have come out here came out after they legalized marijuana, thinking they were going to make a fortune growing pot and all of that. And of course, those people have a tendency to be a little bit south of the law and stuff. So
a groundhog, I guess, is called a whistle pig.
A whistle pig.
You can have some of our water. We have too much. Lance, how's that going? Man. How's your goat shed going? Did you ever get your goat shed out of the
There's some babies.
Yeah, I saw that. By the way, we are following you. Let me see.
We just haven't been able to like stay on.
Yeah, Lance, everybody say hello to Rocking Sea Homestead, Lance and Marcy. They are really cool people who live just outside of the Oklahoma City metropolitan area in Oklahoma. And Lance works in satellite stuff. And I think Marcy is I forget, a nurse?
No, I don't know. I don't want to say in case they don't say it out there. But
yeah, but I mean, really cool. They've got some cool stuff going on.
We have to get it moved this year.
Let's see. Hopefully their building doesn't catch fire because they'd lose their records.
Homesteading. I agree. They're pain at first. Yeah. Blood in the streets. Woo. Yeah, I didn't know if you wanted to say that, Rock and See, so I let you say it.
Sorry. Girl Scout, yeah. We'll do I Want Him Gone Yesterday. A whistled pig. I love it.
Well, you know something we made here? We made some of those bucket traps for our rodent problem here. We had it out one night last night, nothing, but the snap traps seem to work better. So we'll see if we can catch anything in our bucket traps. Yeah. But
we've got these we got two kinds of rodents here. We've got deer mice, which are known to carry hantavirus. So we stay clear of them, or we try to keep them clear. And then also there is a species of, they're called hoppers out here, but they're basically a kangaroo rat. And they have really long legs and hop on two, and they have a long tail.
But they're not known to carry hantavirus.
They're not known to carry any virus, but they will destroy your garden. So, and then just about a mile and a quarter away that way is Prairie Dog Town.
Yes.
Yeah. So we've got all kinds of critters.
Snap traps and water. Yeah. Are you talking about like those bucket things? How do you do it? We put a 5-gallon bucket with a Coke can, jump on it, spin into the water.
I need something.
A 110 trap will catch them for
juvenile raccoon. Growled as loud as a dog.
Oh wow!
How in a bucket trap, or they're easy to catch? Yeah. The water traps seem to work better. Yeah, I mean, we have had a couple of like Victor snap traps that have been snapped, and one of them disappeared, and the other one snapped and didn't get the critter. So, but we've got them.
We just they'll go. Nice.
Really?
I have a heart trap.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
What's a heart trap?
Have a heart trap.
Oh, have a heart trap. Okay, it's humane.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm saying the hard way. Put it over the hole. Show it to his burrow. We don't even know where their burrows. I think their burrows are underneath a shouse. Let me see. All of ours are small little guys. The groundhog is too smart for the have a heart. But anyway.
Yeah, we were looking up hantavirus. There have been like 104 cases here since 1993 when Sin Nombre came out in the United States.
Sin Nombre is another name for hantavirus. See,
my way is not.
It is not live. You know, the thing about it is, I think that the deer mice are really kind of cute.
Yeah, you know, they are like way on the far side of not being any kind of an endangered animal.
Yeah. Produce 42 litters a year or something like that.
They do have quite a few babies, on average about 56 a year, and they only travel about 500 feet from their birth area.
Yeah, so check it out. You know, we've got the shouse here. 500 feet away doesn't even get it off our land. I mean, you know, it just continued to multiply right here. But dead or alive, I want it gone. Groundhog.
It reminds me
of. Think about this, Sandra. If you catch it, you could pull it out every February and have it tell the season for you.
I had gophers at my old house, and there was a gopher at my school, and one of the principals bought a gopher trap, and they caught the gopher, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's the coolest thing ever. It's a little wooden box with a little snap in it, and he gave me one. I never could get the gophers to come up in there and snap them. And I called them a gopher trap, and people kind of made fun of me. You're not really trapping them. It's you're killing them. You're
killing them in a trap. Okay, we need a rat terrier. Oh, we're hesitating getting a dog. We're hesitating. Let's see, 1 or 2 can destroy an amazing amount of guard. Yeah, that's for sure.
And the hide is especially tough.
Eat them, and the hide is especially tough.
Well, a lot of people have also told us out here it might be good to get a dog, but we'd want one to kind of help with people coming up out here and stuff. But it's really cold, and we're not yet to the point of wanting to be that responsible.
I really like the idea of a barn cat, or something like that, but we don't have a barn yet. A barn cat or barn cats would be cool to control the mice and critters like that. But a dog, I don't know. I like dogs, but at this point in our journey, they're just, we'd have to have it in here, and we got 384 square feet of luxurious house. It's I don't know. We just have to see. 1 or 2 can just.
Yeah, that's true.
Tough. Yeah. So
I mean, pretty much any kind of rodent, as cute as they are, like the bunnies who live around here. We actually had a bunny who was under the house, but has now moved down to the compost bin area. The compost bin had a hay bale left out in there, and oh my goodness, you cannot believe the amount of rabbit dung down there. I did see him go hopping off down that way. So, any kind of garden we have here, we have to rabbit-proof fence it and stuff. I mean, there are just so many different animals. If you have a very large garden, you have to, proof it against the deer out here and different things like that. So, kind of a lot more than what I'm used to from back home. Let's see. We have talked about a barn cat with the dogs and chickens. Not how that would work out. My 88-year-old father said the same thing. Historically, people ate groundhogs since it's essentially a large rabbit. Only eats clean, fresh veggies. I'm so mad at the groundhog that I have contended eating back to citified.
Eat a groundhog. I wonder what they taste like. I would think a groundhog would be more like a rodent than a rabbit.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I'm not opposed to a bunch of barn cats if you could just let them go out here and run amok and take care of the little small animals around here. But I don't know. But I also don't want a bunch of them reproducing and taking over and killing chickens and things like that we bring out here. But again, I also don't know how long
we had a
last.
dozen barn cats until Samson got a minute alone with them. I guess Samson's your dog.
We have a pretty good coyote population around here running around. So, if the cats ventured too far away, they'd probably become coyote food.
Yeah, I mean, so far, the coyotes are probably our friends because they probably help keep the rodent population down. I don't know. But there may come a time when the coyotes are no longer our friends. So we live right next to a wildlife refuge, and there are so many animals. I mean, sandhill cranes. We've got these American terns that make this really interesting sound.
Bitterns.
Yeah, bittern or whatever it is. Sandhill cranes. We've got, of course, Canada geese.
Always geese out there.
Yeah. Mallards. Fish in the river, mostly what we've seen is carp and pike, which are not yummy fish, but
you could eat them.
Yeah, you could eat them in a pinch, I suppose, if you needed to. And then, of course, rabbits and hares. Jackrabbits, hares. Yeah.
I went for a walk and really pretty much walked really close up onto one the other day.
A hare or a rabbit?
A jackrabbit.
Jackrabbit.
Mm-hmm. And he scurried off a little bit and stayed there for a minute and didn't just go running off like they normally do. Cats will kill chickens. Chickens will kill cats.
What is this?
Chickens will kill cats' butts.
I'm saying it won't touch them if you're around. The minute you leave, he'll eat them like a good milk bug. Let me see. Oh, Chris, I'm a cat lover. But yeah, so
dogs for sure will get after them.
I guess at this point, I mean, until they start destroying our stuff, I don't mind having the critters around.
Well, we don't really have anything outdoors for them to get to.
I mean, except for the mice, because I'll be darned if they're going to burn this place down by chewing through wires.
Carp are good properly.
Oh, no. Come on, Chris.
We don't have a pressure canner here or a pressure cooker.
Chris, I know you live in the South.
That's Mountain Chris.
Or, I mean, Bob, I'm sorry. I know you live in the South. And I know that, you know, there are opinions on carp. But, oh, my gosh, I just cannot bring myself to eat them. I've caught too many of them in my life. And I just, I've heard of pickled carp. And, you know, out here, they've made an industry of sport fishing them. You know, the sport fishermen, the guides and stuff like that, they'll actually, I guess people from Europe and from Asia and stuff like that, to them, it's a big deal. And they like to catch carp because they're good fighters and stuff like that. But I just can't do it. I mean, so, I mean, you know, our idea of fun when it comes to carp would be using the bow, you know,
and composting them.
So. See, I don't dislike them. Just can't have one with her. Oh yeah.
Yeah, Rock and Sea. I was down at Lake Murray one time, and it was flooded over the spillway, and there were these teenage boys who had nets. And they were just netting all of these carp. And they had a stringer full. I mean, it was like 200 pounds of carp. They could barely lift it up. I was like, hey, what are you going to do with those? And they said their mom pressure cooks them and they eat them. And I was like, oh, I don't know about that. But yeah.
The thing about carp is that they have a lot of cartilage or tendons or something like that in them. And so I understand you really have to cook them. This mother is from Vietnam, came over when he was 4, and his wife makes an awesome carp dish. Okay.
Maybe, I don't know.
You'd have to throw a lot of spices on it for me to get over it.
Well, he doesn't like fish anyway.
I don't like fish anyway. But.
And yeah, carp will crowd out native fish. Yeah, there are a couple of reservoirs around here, Mud Hut, that have had to be completely wiped out and started anew. And depends on who you talk to. Some of the fishing guides are like, yeah, we love the carp, it makes us a lot of money. Others are like, well, no, they're killing out the trout and other native species and things like that.
From our understanding, there's a local lake around here. They had to kill off the entire lake to get rid of them because they were just too invasive. Let me see. I wish Mud Hut.
The dog.
Killed more than I can count. So anyway,
haven't seen any raccoons here.
Haven't seen any raccoons. Seen porcupines.
Yeah, not a live one. Yeah, there are porcupines around here, but no live ones that we've seen.
That's fine. Seen trout.
Well,
of course. Trout, flake, brown trout are good here. Raccoons, groundhogs too. But so I think, Chris, you need to send your dog over to Sanders. And I think, Sandra, you live in town, don't you? I mean, don't you live in town, like in a neighborhood there in Ohio or something like that? Groundhog problem. Sandra talk mouth. Yes. So, I mean, good night. Groundhog problem in town.
Well, I think they're pretty they're pretty populous back there.
Are they?
I mean, considering like the guy was like in a neighborhood and his wife was going to call in the cat, and then what was coming in was a groundhog. And evidently they're kind of mean creatures. I don't know.
I don't
Kind
know.
of like honey badger.
I mean, I know that skunks like to occupy neighborhoods and stuff
I heard that they were pretty wild, pretty mean.
Yeah.
I don't know though.
I don't know, but near the edge of town with cornfields all yeah.
They growl too. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I heard. They're kind of mean things. I'd like to see one though.
Let's
in
find
real
out
life.
if their bark is worse than their bite.
What would be the best thing that you could see out here?
What would be the here?
Yeah, a mountain lion.
A mountain lion.
That would probably be the best thing.
I understand they occupy the valley, but
Not very many.
to
but
me, the best thing that we could see out here is the wild asparagus that I hear grows
yeah,
out
no
here.
kidding. Wild
Love
asparagus.
to harvest that stuff.
Yeah, that would be nice. Or figure out how to cook those yucca pods.
Yeah. You know, we got a lot of yucca.
The museum over there is doing a school thing during the school shutdown to show how to do the yucca pod paintbrushes.
I'm going to put up a video. Yeah, well, let's see that. Let me see. Gotta go, everyone. You know what? You know what, folks? I think we need to go too. Poor Buzz.
Yeah, he's
Has
about
been
dead.
powering this for a while, but gosh, it sure is nice to catch up with you,
Yeah,
folks.
nice to
Thank
see
you so much
everyone.
thanks for so much. Thank you so much for talking to us.
It's kind of
It
nice.
gets kind of lonely out here with just Rob around.
Yeah, I got to put up with him.
All this work and
Considering we're all kind of in a
COVID land.
social distancing place, it is kind of nice to get back in touch with everyone. See you later, Chris. Bye, everyone.
Thank you so much,
Thank you so
folks.
much for joining in.
Catch up to you soon.
Bye.
Rock and see. Thank you. We'll be back there and we'll swing through and see you.
Yep.
It's great to see you guys. Can't wait to get up to. Okay, come on out, Sandra.
Yep.
Come out and visit. We'll put you to work.
Yep. We have a tent for you. It's getting good weather. Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody. Take care.
I don't think it worked.
It doesn't work.
Oh, there it did.
Yes.
Yay.
Okay.